Hello and welcome back to Small Screen Stories. This is the daily show where I go over all the news in the world of entertainment and pop culture. All of the articles I talk about in this show come from the website Small Screen, which you can find at www.small-screen.co.uk. I'm Edward Lauder. I'm the editor of Small Screen, and if you don't like watching live streams on YouTube, for whatever reason, there are a lot of reasons why you might not like that sort of thing, and they're perfectly fine. You know, I know a lot of people that would much rather listen to a podcast, and you can actually find this as a podcast over at Small Screen Stories, which is available wherever you get your podcasts. If you listen on iTunes, then if you could give us 5 stars, that'd be wonderful. I'm starting all this off at the beginning of the show because I know a lot of people just tend to watch the beginning. It's a long show. But also, if you could like and subscribe over at YouTube, that'd be wonderful. If you could like and follow the page on Facebook, that would also be great. But let's get right into the news today. And the very first thing I wanted to talk about was that Willem Dafoe and Dane DeHaan are reportedly also in talks to star in Spider-Man 3. So this is becoming a bit of a farce, I think, as far as all this Spider-Man news is concerned. So yesterday, of course, we got all the news that I think it was Andrew Garfield, Kirsten Dunst, possibly Emma Stone, possibly Charlie Cox were all reportedly confirmed, let's say that, to be in Spider-Man 3. So this actually came from Jeff Snyder over at Collider. As far as Charlie Cox is concerned, that was actually that story was reported by Murphy's Multiverse. That they were the first, but they were the people to release that exclusive. So they're two outlets that I do actually trust, and that the big trades tend to run with that. I actually noticed that Empire Magazine, for instance, ran with the news that Charlie Cox was going to be in Spider-Man 3. So either they have a relatively young writer who thought it was actually properly confirmed, or they actually believe this to be true, and they did credit Murphy's Multiverse in their article. But as far as Willem Dafoe is concerned, this comes from Daniel Rickman, who's he's like a serial scoopster, let's say, and this is actually something that I was told about, but specifically with Willem Dafoe returning as the Green Goblin a while back, and I really didn't believe it. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to come. I did actually say that I did run an article on Small Screen, which you can find, which is in which I say that Green Goblin is apparently going to be one of the villains in the movie, or is going to be a villain in the film. But it's like one of those things, it seems as though this movie is going to be a massive Spider-Verse film, which is bonkers. And I said this yesterday, it's absolutely bonkers. That the idea that Dane DeHaan will be returning as his version of the Green Goblin as well is quite amusing, because I didn't think he was bad in Spider-Man, in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I didn't think he was fantastic. I thought if you compare him to Willem Dafoe, you'd much rather see Willem Dafoe come back. But we've also, Alfred Molina's also back, and that's actually properly confirmed. He's going to be playing Doc Ock. So there's obviously some sort of multiverse element in this film. We know that officially that Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be in the movie, which means Doctor Strange has a part to play in this. So there's probably a rip in some sort of the time continuum. The multiverse is ripped open, and all these villains, all these characters from previous Spider-Man movies, all kind of come into this one film, possibly all kind of end up in Tom Holland's Spider-Man universe. There are also reports that Charlie Cox is going to be playing Daredevil, but Matt Murdock, and is actually going to be representing Peter Parker in court. And then other people have claimed that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, and Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker are both going to help to try and get him off, because of course this is the thing at the moment with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, is he relies on other people. And I did write a story about how it seems as though this has definitely been the case. So it's not seems as though this has been the case with Tom Holland's Spider-Man over the course of like these 2 Spider-Man movies and however many Avengers movies he turned up in. He's always relying on other people. I mean, that could just be a trait of his, but like if you think about like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, even Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, they did stuff on their own, really, and it was very much kind of a solo effort from them. Whereas Tom Holland, if it's not someone like Tony Stark in the first film, or in the second movie, like there was just a whole load of people that ended up having to help him, including Happy. And at the moment, he even sees like Mysterio as a possible not father figure, but mentor. So, there's always someone else involved in these Spider-Man films, and it seems as though that's going to be the case in Spider-Man 3 as well, but to an even bigger extent than ever before. When I was first reporting on all of this, it was the main kind of thing was that Benedict Cumberbatch was going to be in it, and at the time I was kind of thinking, really, do we really need Doctor Strange to hold Peter Parker's hand? If we're talking about the multiverse, then maybe. He's probably the only character in this whole thing that can really help Spider-Man, because I'm pretty sure he'll have no idea what to do as far as a multiverse is concerned. That's very much Doctor Strange's purview. But what do you think about all of this? Is this something that are you excited about all these rumors? Do you think this is something that we need? People are calling for a solo Spider-Man movie because they've heard about all this stuff that's happening in this Spider-Man film, which is supposedly confirmed. That they're kind of fed up and they're like, I just want to watch a Spider-Man movie. I don't want to watch whatever this is. Like, is this going to be a Spider-Verse film? At the moment, it's looking like it's going to be a version of one. I did talk about it yesterday. I spoke at length about all of this yesterday, and I was talking about how this might not be a Spider-Verse film because it's mainly Peter Parker. So it's like different versions of Peter Parker, whereas Spider-Verse tends to be kind of all the different Spider-Men, women, Spider-Gwen, all the different versions of the character, not just the Peter Parker version of it, the Miles Morales version as well. So I think that will be coming next. And this is at least what I've been told, is that the actual Spider-Verse film is going to be coming after this. This will merely open up the possibility of that being a thing. Miles Morales will come in later. I've been told Spider-Man 4, and also, like, I've also been told that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are also going to be in Doctor Strange 2 in some capacity, and Deadpool as well in that movie. So it looks like they're really playing with this kind of, but not just Marvel. DC are doing the same. They're doing the same thing over with the multiverse over there. We're seeing Ben Affleck coming back. We're seeing Michael Keaton coming back. Linda Carter's coming back. Reportedly. So this is really something they're exploring. They've been exploring this aspect in the comics for years, in both DC Comics and Marvel Comics. So it is very much a comic book trait. It kind of bends people's minds a bit, but if you're a comic book reader, then you're probably quite used to this. It happens a lot. It happens all the time. So in that respect, I'm okay with it. But as far as like trying to build like a really solid story, I just feel like this movie sounds like it's going to be far too packed. Like there are going to be too many characters to deal with. I mean, I like John Watts as a director. I've really enjoyed his 2 Spider-Man movies before this, but is he the director that's going to be able to take this sort of thing on? I mean, Sony obviously thinks that. Sony and Marvel, Kevin Feige, they all think he must be able to do it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going ahead with it. But also, all this talk of like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in talks, are they in it? Are they not? The film's filming now, so if they were really going to be in this, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to be in this film now. I'm pretty sure that's a done deal. But I'm more thinking about how much of them are we really going to see in this film. And I think it's going to be actually very, very small. Because if you're thinking about, like, why would they be finalizing contracts and deals now? The film is filming, the script has been written. So, I mean, I would have assumed that they would have written the script and gone, right, what's the first thing we need? We need to make sure that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire sign on to be in this movie. Otherwise, there's no movie. They can't leave that up to chance. I know that everyone's got their price, and they probably think, you might say, oh, that would have been fine. They knew that money is no object for Marvel and Disney at the moment, but they still need to plan these things. And I really do believe that Marvel, especially someone like Kevin Feige, would have had he would have really planned ahead. And this is why, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's going to be like probably even limited to one scene. We're probably not even going to see either of them in the costume, either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire in the costume. they're probably, I mean, who knows what's happened to their Spider-Man at this point in time, because they've, as far as like Tobey Maguire, that was like back in 2002, 2004, and 2007, the last time he played Spider-Man, and then 2014 was Andrew Garfield's last Spider-Man movie, so a bit closer to home. But stuff's happened in that time, so I'm interested to see where they are at. Personally, I've been hearing rumors that Tobey Maguire is almost going to be done with Spider-Man, and that Andrew Garfield's going to be in a bit of a bizarre state because of what happened to Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man 2, so that it's going to be a bit depressing. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to have a small role in the film. It's not going to be major. It will then end up being expanded upon in Doctor Strange 2, and then eventually an actual Spider-Verse film where we'll have either the three Peter Parkers, or one of them will sacrifice themselves for, let's say, to save Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because he always needs saving. So, there's a lot of things that are still on the table. So if you're thinking, oh, this is upsetting because we know that they're going to be in it. Yeah, yes, we know they're going to be in it, but also we don't know to what extent. We don't know what the story is going to be really. At the moment, this is still, even though that it's being reported by places like Collider, it's still kind of like up in the air. It's confirmed, but not 100% confirmed. Not until you see like a cast list or a trailer that confirms that they're actually properly in it is it going to be like 100% confirmed. So I would just say to all of the people out there that are feeling a bit, and I know there are a couple of you that are feeling a bit upset about all of this and thinking, well, what's the point? Just wait a second. And also, we don't know what's really going to be happening. Talking of, I mentioned before about Tobey Maguire maybe not being in the suit, where he has been spotted by some photographers going to reportedly a costume fitting, which is rumored to be for Spider-Man 3. So this is, it comes from Just Jared, so take this with a big pinch of salt. But the pictures are there. You can go on the site and have a look. He's going to a place in North Hollywood, apparently, and he's in a parking lot, and apparently it's spotted for a costume fitting at Wardrobe Workroom, which is a place where they do a lot of costume fittings, apparently. But this could be for another project, but a lot of people are speculating that it is actually for Spider-Man 3. Whether or not, again, does he need to be in the costume in that movie? I don't know. Maybe he will at the end of it. Well, who knows? Who knows what's happening? But apparently there have been reports that people on set have confirmed that the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are both in the film. But what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments below. Is this something you're really excited about? I am very excited for this movie, but I'm kind of a bit cautious about how many people are involved. It feels like a lot. Anyway, let me know in the comments below. Right, now that that's down and out the way, let's move on to the exclusive of the day, which we have been sitting on for quite some time. I have been, because I've just been waiting for people to get back to me about certain things, and it's like I learned from experience. I don't want to go with something if it's just one person that's telling me this. So I'll bring up the article here. So I'll just move that over a bit so you can get a better view. Right, so Aubrey Plaza reportedly up for the role of Spider-Woman in Olivia Wilde's MCU movie. So it was revealed a couple of months ago now that Olivia Wilde, who directed the brilliant Booksmart, has been signed on for an MCU movie. No one knew what this film was going to be. Olivia Wilde didn't let slip, even though she did say that she was really excited about it. She didn't actually let slip what the movie was. There were rumors that it's for Spider-Woman. Now, I'm saying that Aubrey Plaza is in contention for the role of, is being considered, for the role of Spider-Woman, but I wasn't specifically told whether it's a Spider-Woman film or not. It's just that she's up for the role of Jessica Drew, who is Spider-Woman. And so here's what the first person said who brought this to me, said, Aubrey Plaza is in talks for Spider-Woman. This will be for the Olivia Wilde MCU movie, which is being penned by Katie Silberman, who also wrote Booksmart. Then a second person came to me. This was quite a while after. I got sent this a while ago, and then I was just kind of like, all right, fine. I haven't really... A lot of people send me stuff that I haven't worked with before, and if I haven't worked with them before, and I don't tend to work with them again. I get sent so much stuff, and a lot of it is just not true, or don't really want to. It's this thing about reputation as well, and if I can't validate who they are, then I don't go with it. But then it was corroborated by another source who I do actually work with quite a bit, and they said Plaza is Marvel and Sony's pick for the role. There's a list of other names being considered, yet Plaza and her team are already in discussions with Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. So then the next quote is Olivia Wilde. But the two people coming to me, it was actually, I think, so that was relatively recent. That news, that rumor that I was sent was corroborated by a source who has very close ties to Marvel Studios in particular. So I was like, fine, this sounds legit to me. I've worked with this person before in the past. I was able to actually confirm that they were who they said that they are who they say they are, which is not always easy. But and as far as I'm concerned, I think I've said this before on the show. I'm a massive fan of Aubrey Plaza's. I think she's great, and I think she hasn't been given enough roles. She, of course, was in Legion, which is is it canon? Not really, but it's just a brilliant show, and she was really good in that. But she's someone that hasn't really been given like a big role, and I think she would really fit the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it seems as though people at Marvel would think that as well, otherwise she wouldn't be in talks for the role. So it seems as though this Olivia Wilde movie is a Spider-Woman movie. And at the moment, they're looking at who they can cast, and Aubrey Plaza is number one in their list. So that's what I've been told. And now it's kind of speculation time. What can we say about this film? What is it? Well, I'm pretty sure it's a Spider-Woman film because here's what Olivia Wilde said back in September. She said, "All I can say is that this is by far the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me, because not only do I feel like I get to tell a story that, God, it's like listen to me trying to avoid Kevin Feige's pellet gun." So she was about to kind of spill all the beans, and then she went on to say, "We are seeing this incredible influx of female directors and storytellers getting to take hold of this genre, this superhero space, and infuse it with their own perspective. So not only do I get to tell the story as a director, but I get to develop the story, and that's what made it so incredible for me." So of course she's working with Katie Silberman on this, who wrote the script. Katie Silberman, they're also working together on a film called Don't Worry, Darling, which will star Harry Styles, Florence Pugh, and Chris Pine. Of course, Florence Pugh is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She's going to be in Black Widow. Aubrey Plaza was actually recently cast in Guy Ritchie's next movie, which is going to be a thriller. She'll be starring alongside Jason Statham. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening for both of them. And I personally think... I was sent this and I thought that's perfect, but I didn't really trust this source. And then when the second person corroborated the story, I was just like, okay, I'm going to go for it now. I think this is valid, and it's you got to trust your sources. It could end up going to somebody else, but honestly, I think I'm pretty sure this is as locked in as it could ever be. But let's wait and see what happens. I am very much excited about this. Of course, this is, it's not official that the movie is going to be a Spider-Woman movie, but I'm pretty sure it is. It looks like it's going to be a joint venture between Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Do you think it's time for Jessica Drew to be introduced in the MCU? Of course, she could also... This is what I'm talking about, a Spider-Verse film. Having a Spider-Woman in it would really actually bolster the chances of that happening, a live-action Spider-Verse movie happening. Because she, of course, this is Jessica Drew. It's another version of the, it's Spider-Woman, kind of another spider character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Right, moving on. And moving on to Patty Jenkins. So Patty Jenkins dropped a bit of a bomb, actually, recently in an interview with Cinema Blend, where she said that the DCEU directors do not consider Joss Whedon's Justice League to be canon. Oof, that's harsh. But I'll get at what she said. So it's really a really interesting quote, actually. Here you go. She said, the Justice League? No, I think that all of us DC directors tossed that out just as much as the fans did. But also I felt that the version contradicted my first movie in many ways. And this current movie, which I was already in production on. So then what are you going to do? I was like, you would have to play ball in both directions in order for that to work. The only thing I have done, and I've always tried to do, is I knew when Zack Snyder was doing Justice League, where she sort of ends up. So I was sorry. So I always tried, like, I didn't change her suit because I never want to. I don't want to contradict his films, but yet I have my own films, and he's been very supportive of that. And so I think that Justice League was kind of an outlier, and he's been very supportive of that. And so I think that Justice League was kind of she says, I think that Justice League was a bit of an outlier. They were trying to turn one thing into kind of another, which is kind of a lot. And so it then becomes, I don't recognize half of these characters, so I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, so she's basically saying, here, this bit, DC directors tossed that out just as much as the fans did. So that's the big part of that, I think. And she then talks about her version of Wonder Woman, how it didn't quite align with Joss Whedon's version in his Justice League film. She talks a lot about Zack there, and she wanted to honor Zack's version of the character and like kind of pick up where he left off with Wonder Woman. So I think it's really interesting what's happened here. Like, Joss Whedon came in after Warner Brothers basically really sent Zack Snyder packing. Really, that's really what they did. And he made what was a completely different film tonally to the rest of the DC Comics movies, to what Zack Snyder had been doing before. Patty Jenkins, what she did with her Wonder Woman film was actually keep the same tone. Well, not really the same tone, but she kept a kind of, you could tell that it was all part of the same universe. Whereas, like, Joss Whedon's Justice League feels like it's on a completely different planet. It might as well have all been set on a completely different planet. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it could be maybe they might say, "Oh, this actually happens on another Earth somewhere." Like, they could do that. They are playing around with the multiverse, so maybe it could be canon in that way. But I just think that the DC directors, and I also think Warner Brothers to a certain extent, just want to remove themselves as far away as possible, as far from that movie as possible, because it wasn't good and it wasn't received well at all, and people don't like Joss Whedon anymore, rightly so. But let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comments below. Right, moving on to Joe Manganiello. I think that's how you can say his name. He revealed that Ben Affleck's The Batman movie was going to be really, really dark and also really cool. This, of course, Ben Affleck was working on a Batman movie for what seemed like ages, possibly years even. But it never happened, and he ended up leaving the project, and he ended up leaving the character behind, but he's playing him again, so who knows? We might be getting another Batman movie soon with Ben Affleck in it. But this, Joe Manganiello did an interview with Yahoo Entertainment, and here's what he had to say. He said, it was a really dark story in which Deathstroke was like a shark or a horror movie villain that was dismantling Bruce's life from the inside out. It was this systemic thing. He killed everyone close to Bruce and destroyed his life to try and make him suffer because he felt that Bruce was responsible for something that happened to him. It was really cool, really dark, and really hard. I was very excited for it. That sounds pretty cool. I'm going to be honest. That sounds pretty cool. And actually, I see a lot of resemblances to what Joe Manganiello is saying there and the comic book Hush. I'm wondering whether they just replaced the Hush character with Deathstroke, which that would be just such a cool idea. I'm going to be honest, but it was never meant to be because Ben Affleck kind of tossed it to one side. I think people are kind of saying that he just didn't want to do it, but I'm not sure whether it was that. I think it was more he just got to the end of his. Like he just wasn't interested in it by the end. I think especially with everything that happened with Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon and Justice League, I think that really just made him not want to do another Batman movie. But things have changed, which is why he is of course coming back to play the character, possibly only in a small cameo role. But there are rumors that he might play him again in the future. And I think that there's an appetite for Ben Affleck's Batman. I've said quite a few times that I think he's actually a very good Batman. I just don't think he's been... there's all the business about him killing in the movies, which is true. Batman doesn't... He has a code, and part of that code is that he does not kill. Whereas in Batman versus Superman, you've got Ben Affleck's Batman killing people left, right, and center. So there are certain elements of that, but I think tonally, and I think the way Ben Affleck portrayed him, it was really interesting, and there is room for more of that sort of stuff. And this film, pitting Ben Affleck up against Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke, I think that would have been really cool, and it was something that I was very excited to see, but it looks like we're not going to see it. Right, moving on to Christopher Nolan. So Christopher Nolan has actually revealed himself to be a bit of a Fast and Furious fan, which I like. So this was in an episode of the podcast Happy, Sad, Confused. I think it's called, or I think it's Happy, Sad, Confused. And during that during that interview, they were actually discussing kind of guilty pleasures. And this is when Christopher Nolan revealed that he's actually has a love for the Fast and Furious franchise. He said, "I'm a sort of original recipe. I've got a very soft spot for Tokyo Drift actually. And then with Justin Lin's iterations, as they got crazier and bigger, they became something else, but something else kind of fun." So I would love to know what Christopher Nolan thought of Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know whether that would really be his kind of film, but I just like the idea of Christopher Nolan enjoying the Fast and Furious movies. And you know what? Tokyo Drift is actually one of my favorite Fast and Furious films, so I'm happy to hear him say the same. I'm not crazy. I did really like that film. People didn't like it as much as I did, but these new Fast and Furious movies, they're just bonkers. I like saying that word in this show. They are bonkers. But what do you make of this? There's another Christopher Nolan bit of news coming up, and that I really this I think is one of the funniest things he's done in a long, long time. Like I just think he's been quite amusing recently. But basically, he was being interviewed. He made a statement to the Hollywood Reporter. And this is all to do with Warner Brothers' decision to release their 2021 movies on HBO Max and in cinemas at the same time. And it's been revealed now that directors are not happy. So James Gunn's not happy, Denis Villeneuve's not happy, and Christopher Nolan's not happy. And rightly so, because apparently they weren't told. Warner Brothers just revealed this, just released this information without telling the directors, which is nuts. It's insane. But so they're not happy, and Christopher Nolan just went ahead and said HBO Max is the worst streaming service. Here's the quote. So he said, "Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio, and woke up to find out that they're working for the worst streaming service." I think that's just funny. Christopher Nolan's he's kind of kicking out the park with these things, but he went on to say Warner Bros had an incredible machine for getting filmmakers work out everywhere, both in theaters and in the home, and they are dismantling it as we speak. They don't even understand why they're losing. Their decision makes no economic sense, and even though the most casual Wall Street investor can see the difference between disruption and dysfunction. So, yeah, he's just one of these. He's a very old school director in the sense. He still works on film. He doesn't really want to switch over to digital, and he wants everything to be captured in camera. And I love that about him. I love that. I love that he's an old school director, but he's also pushing things forward. By the way, hello Dalal from Bangladesh. Hi. But if you want to chat on YouTube, go ahead, put in some little comments and things. I will read them now. I'm starting to get the hang of this thing. There's lots of multitasking going on. But yeah, as far as Christopher Nolan's concerned, it's like he's an old school director, but as I was saying, he understands that there's progression needed. So I'm pretty sure if there's anyone that knows anything about streaming services, really, I think Christopher Nolan probably knows a lot about it. But he, of course, is someone that just wants to make movies for the big screen, which is what James Gunn wants, which is what Denis Villeneuve wants, which is what Patty Jenkins wanted. The difference with Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman 1984 coming to streaming is that Warner Brothers actually spoke with her about this before, and Gal Gadot. So they talked to them about it, and they kind of came up with a solution. And they, of course, there was money involved as well, which is also one of the reasons why these directors are annoyed, is because they have to meet certain criteria and that they get certain bonuses on how much money the film makes. So this is basically cutting these movies' revenue stream basically in half, because people that are already subscribed to HBO Max will be able to watch these movies for free because they're subscribed to HBO Max. Whereas with Disney Plus, it's a bit different because you do have to pay. I mean, with Mulan, you had to. Not with other films. It varies from movie to movie. But there is this system where, like the big films, you have to pay to rent them. So that means that there still is the possibility to make some money there, but not even make some money, to kind of break even. But as far as Warner Brothers' decision is that they're just going, right, we're going to put it straight onto HBO Max, and we're going to put it in cinemas and hope that people are going to watch it in cinemas. Whereas in the US, if you've got the option, I mean, I personally would go to the cinema, but think about more, like the vast majority of people, they will just go, you know what, I don't want to go to the cinema. It's much easier just to stay at home. You don't have to get, in the US, it's a big country as well, so you probably have to drive quite a long way to go to a cinema, whereas if you're in Europe, it's a bit easier. But there's all these things you got to think about, and Christopher Nolan is not happy and does not want to be working for the worst streaming service, which isn't even it's not available here. There are lots of reasons why it's not available here. It's all contractual, mainly I think with Sky in the UK. I think Sky's a big problem. It was a big problem for Disney Plus as well. But let me know what you guys think about that. All of that in the comments below. Right, it's Johnny Depp time. This is like a regular segment on the show. So Johnny Depp tried to get Amber Heard fired from Aquaman. So what does this mean? It means that Johnny Depp was not happy about Amber Heard being cast as Mira, getting a big role in an upcoming Warner Brothers film. And apparently he sent a text to the CEO of Warner Brothers at the time, I believe it was. Let me just check that. I'll go onto the article. I write so many articles in the day. This, again, is from a Hollywood Reporter article. That I will say that the article is called "He's Radioactive Inside Johnny Depp's Self-Made Implosion." And it's very much sold as like a news piece. It's not. It's an opinion piece. So really do make that distinction in your minds when you read it. I mean, it becomes it's pretty obvious from the word go. Also, the person that wrote the story has written a lot of puff pieces for Amber Heard in the past. So, and honestly, as a journalist, you cannot do that, really. And I'm actually surprised that the Hollywood Reporter went ahead. But then again, they're going to get clicks for this, and it's very much like what The Sun did. But here, I'll just show you, show you the lovely picture they did of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard there. Johnny Depp looking... It's such a weird picture they went with. But, and he's radioactive inside Johnny Depp's self-made implosion. It's from Tatiana Siegel, who, if you go on her Twitter, it becomes pretty clear that she does not like Johnny Depp. So, and that's about that article. But the news that I found in the article is that so there's two bits of news. The first bit is this, so that Johnny Depp reportedly tried to get Amber Heard fired from Aquaman 2. And if you go down a bit further here, I will find the text. This is the text that he wrote to Christy Dembrowski. I want her replaced on the Warner Brothers film. So he sent this person a text saying he wanted her to be replaced. I'm going to be honest. This was actually also read out in the trial, apparently, in the UK, in Johnny Depp's libel trial against The Sun. I'm going to be honest, I do not like Johnny Depp's texts. There are the texts that he sent to Paul Bettany, which are horrible. The stuff he was sending to people was not good. And his phone records are pretty bad. His texts are pretty bad. And I will admit that. They don't spell a very good picture for him. They sound of someone that's kind of... He sounds like he's losing it, in these texts, and he probably was. I mean, they probably both were. But again, it's this is news because he did try and get her fired, but he tried to get her fired by texting someone, texted the just sent it to a producer who had connections at Warner Brothers. So, he's not sending it to a CEO or someone, but it's there. It happened. He tried it. Now there are allegations that he and his team are behind some of the petitions that have turned up online trying to get Amber Heard fired from Aquaman. That probably might be the case, but there's no way for me to research that. As far as I'm concerned, the one that's doing really well, the person behind that is a legitimate person, and the amount of people that have signed the petition is over 1.5 million people. I think that's pretty hard to do with bots. It could be a combination of both. I will be honest. It could be a combination of both. But, there's no way for me to know. All I can see is that there are a lot of people that are very positive about Johnny Depp and support him, and they're very vocal online. And I see it every day on small screen. But there might be a combination of real people and bots. That could very much be the case. But as far as Johnny Depp trying to fire Amber Heard from Aquaman, he sent a text saying he wanted her removed from the movie. So yes, he did want her fired, but he didn't get her fired, and it looks like she's now going to be in Aquaman 2. She's already said she's going to be in it, so he didn't succeed on that front. But here, there's another bit of news that came from this article, is that Johnny Depp reportedly made $16 million for not starring in Fantastic Beasts 3. So he was, of course, asked to leave Fantastic Beasts. He was asked to step down from the role of Grindelwald. He was then replaced by Mads Mikkelsen. It was reported at the time that he made $10 million from that he was given $10 million because he had a pay-to-play contract, I believe it's called, where basically you get paid even if you don't, pay or play contract, which means the performer must be paid regardless of whether or not they actually appear in the film. So he did well on that front, but again, it's not actually that much if you consider the amount of money he made on other films like Alice in Wonderland, where he actually made a total of $55 million with profit participation as well in that film he made. In his career, he often asked for $20 million up front. For a major studio production. He made, of course, a lot from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. So $16 million for a Warner Brothers film, for like a film that is going to be one of their tentpole movies that he was going to play the lead in. Really, he was basically going to be the lead. It's a lot for me, but it's not that much for him. So there is that aspect of that story as well. But let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Right, moving on to TV stuff. So it's now being rumored that Charlie Cox is in talks to star in Disney Plus's She-Hulk show. So She-Hulk is coming to Disney Plus. They've cast people for it, and I'm actually at the moment I'm blanking on the names, but I will have to get back to you on that. But it was revealed yesterday, I spoke about this before, by Murphy's Multiverse, that Charlie Cox will be Peter Parker's lawyer in Spider-Man 3, reportedly. And then Grace Ranulph got on the bandwagon. She jumped on the Charlie Cox train, and she actually went ahead and said she confirmed it in a tweet, said yes, he is back as Daredevil in Spider-Man 3, and she can add to the story. And she added that that he will be Peter Parker's lawyer. Feige considered She-Hulk to rep Parker, but felt that the Daredevil connection in the comics is stronger. And then she went on and made a video, and then she said, I will also add to my video that Charlie Cox is in talks to appear in the She-Hulk show, as they're both New York City lawyers. More of Charlie Cox. It's a good thing. Again, this isn't 100% confirmed. Grace Ranulph does put a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of stuff does end up being right, but a lot of stuff ends up being wrong as well. And then when it's wrong, she claims that, that it just didn't come to fruition, which is, very possible. But yeah, I like the fact that they're looking to do more stuff with Charlie Cox as Daredevil. I'm happy that they're reportedly casting him in the role again. I'm happy that they're bringing him back. Hopefully, this will kind of stop the Marvel Daredevil kind of fans demanding for Marvel Studios to revive the show. But I'm pretty sure they'll just want to bring him in a couple of MCU movies and maybe give him his own movie further down the line. But I will talk about that at a later date. Let's just say that. Right. Final bit of news today. Hawkeye. So I wanted to end on this because this is a show that I am very much looking forward to. And there were some set photos revealed, and they actually reveal the first look at Haley Steinfeld in Kate Bishop's costume. And she just looks great. So if you know Kate Bishop from the comics, you'll know that her costume in the comics is it's purple. It is quite revealing, I will say that. I'll bring up the some of the images on Twitter. So here we go. So here's a picture of her in full costume with, you can see the purple, the bow and arrow. I really think Haley Steinfeld is just perfect for this role. There's her with Jeremy Renner. I will go over the second one and then the third one here. Yeah, so she looks like she's having a great time on set, and it's not quite comic book accurate, but what it is it's a lot more, what's the word? It's a lot more practical, because if you know her from the comics, you'll know that the costume she wears in the comics is quite revealing. It's very much a comic book costume, but what these Marvel Studios films have done is kind of made them more practical and made them look better in live action. And I just cannot wait for this Hawkeye series. I'm very happy that they managed to get Haley Steinfeld to sign on, because it was kind of touch and go there for a while. Reportedly, it was because of her contract with Apple TV, Apple TV Plus, for a show called Dickinson, which is on Apple TV Plus now if you want to watch it. But she had, in that contract, she had a non-compete clause, which meant that she couldn't star in a show for a competitor. And of course, Disney Plus is a competitor. But it looks like Disney and Apple managed to sort things out, and they've managed to get the person they wanted for the role, which was Haley Steinfeld. They really desperately wanted her to play Kate Bishop, and there's a reason for that. It's because she's perfect. And with that, I will say good night. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and listening. If you're listening to this as a podcast, you can find this as a podcast everywhere you get your podcasts. It's called Small Screen Stories. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us 5 stars. That'd be wonderful if you could do that. If you're watching on YouTube at the moment, please like and subscribe. That would be really cool if you could do that as well. If you're watching over on Facebook, please like the page, like the video, do all that stuff. That'd be really great if you could do that. You can go and head on over to the site and read all of these articles I've just talked about. If you'd like, give me some hits. That'd be really cool. You can find that at www.small-screen.co.uk. You can follow us everywhere on social media at Small Screen Co. We've just changed our handle. That's on everywhere. So that's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow me at EJ Lauder on Twitter. And thank you very much for watching, guys. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks and goodbye.